Information is key to survival in Highfleet. Not only info from the enemy, but also info you are giving to the enemy. Radar is one of the tools that you can use to help find those valuable enemy transports with a much longer range than IRST. However, they can also compromise your fleets to enemy strike groups. Because of this, many guides recommend that you don't even use radar or jammers due to the risk of revealing your fleet. But this isn't always true. In this short guide, we'll be talking everything you need to know to get the most out of radar in Highfleet. First, we need to understand how radar works to understand its limitations. Think of Highfleet as a stealth game in a pitch black but open field. You and your enemies must find each other by shining a light around them. However, a light can be seen by others much farther away than a lamp can illuminate. Radar, or radio detection and ranging, is quite similar, as it is an active search method that works by sending out a radio signal to determine range and bearing to contact, as the signal bounces back. Since the signal must return to its source, this means that radar signals can be detected twice as far away as the radar system's max range. To use the radar, you obviously need at least one radar-equipped ship. If none are available, then the panel on the top left will be locked. To turn on the radar, hit either the 1 or the infinity button. Infinity will keep the radar running until you turn it off by simply hitting the button again. The 1 will just do a single sweep. This pulse can still be detected by the enemy, thus revealing your distance and bearing, but it won't reveal your speed or course, so the enemy will have difficulty intercepting you if you use this. Alternatively, you could use sector search, which limits the radar to only operate on a 60-degree slice, which you can move by turning the dial. This can allow you to operate the radar to find a transport nearby without exposing yourself to strike groups in another direction. This also increases the frequency of your pings as it doesn't need to travel around the full circle, but keep in mind that this does not increase the power of the radar in any way. By default, the radar is set to search for airborne contacts, but you can also set it to ground scan to make it easier to find hidden cities. In this situation, the radar will show you what you would see if you zoom in to visual range on the tactical map. The rings on the screen are the same as those on the tactical map, so you can easily mark the positions of contacts on the map. The game features 2 search radars and 2 fire control radars. However, both radars work exactly the same for finding and tracking contacts. Just keep in mind that the fire control radar will have a shorter max range than the search radar, and the max range for automatic tracking is 400 kilometers even with a more powerful radar. An important thing to keep in mind is that all enemy ships will use the exact same parts that your own ships can use, meaning that all the capabilities and limitations of their components are the same as your own. For example, by default, the Sevastopol is equipped with the best radar in the game, aka the overpriced radar. At a cost of $10,000, it gives you a max detection range of 750 kilometers, but be aware that this signature can be detected as far out as 1500 kilometers. This means that if you ever get an ELINT warning, then the enemy is at most within 1500 kilometers. However, they most likely will have the cheaper search radar with a detection range of 500 kilometers and a signal range of 1000 kilometers. This means that any ELINT capable ship will be able to detect a radar signature long before you'll be able to detect them with the radar, no matter what radar you are using. But keep in mind that radar requires line of sight, meaning that it is limited by the horizon, which increases as you increase in altitude. This means that the range of your radar will be significantly less while you are landed. If you ever get an ELINT warning, don't freak out. You are currently twice its detection range. The more the bar fills up, the closer the enemy ship. If the bar fills all the way up and you get the danger close warning, then you are already within its detection range, and by then it's too late. However, if you use this right, then you can use their radar against them. The wheel tells you the signal strength and the bearing to contact. If you have 2 ELINT capable ships, then you can split them off and triangulate the position and range to contact. If that all sounds too difficult, you can always try launching an anti-radiation missile at the bearing. Those are any missile with the P at the end of the name. This missile will search for the closest radar emission near it, meaning that it will only target warships since transports don't use radars in the game. Keep in mind that it will go after the closest radar source, which very easily could be your own ship if you are running radar when you launch it. The enemy will sometimes do this too, so be aware if an Elon alert just suddenly disappears. But if the signal is weak, then it's always possible that they simply landed, but that's for you to figure out. Then we have radar jammers. Be aware that this will not make you invisible. In fact, it will do the exact opposite. Jammers disrupt all radar, including your own detached ship's radars, by sending out a spoof signal to overwhelm their sensors. Thus, there will be nothing but static along the bearing to contact. To use the flashlight in the dark example, if it's very dark and you suddenly shine a spotlight in someone's eyes, they will be blinded. However, this light is much brighter than a normal flashlight, so it can be more easily seen from far away. Jammers have an unbelievable range of 4,000 kilometers per module that only increases as you add more. Later on in the campaign, you'll start to see them more often, most likely on a Nomad cruiser which has multiple jammers. If you turn on a jammer, you will be broadcasting your presence to an entire continent, and most likely will get missiles launched your way. However, the main use for jammers is to disrupt the radar homing of an enemy cruise missile by decreasing their detection range, thus allowing you the possibility to avoid missiles that have already been launched. Keep in mind that jammers will conceal all ships along the same bearing as the jammer and the contact. If you get creative, you could use this to help your ships escape. In general, only use jammers when you're in a danger close situation or missiles have been detected to help slow ships evade them. If you keep all of your ships in one fleet, then it is not advisable to leave your radar or jammers on. However, if you deploy the fleet in a proper defense and depth formation, then your expensive lumbering ships like the Sevastopol can have a greater situational awareness to avoid sudden threats like missiles or airstrikes. But that will be the topic of the next guide in this series.